Hey, this is Jason, back from a long break, which I'll explain in this episode today. First off, let me explain why I am shooting this solo. I had a certain episode set up, but editing issues and whatnot, that's going to come sometime this weekend. It is going to be an episode with Queen talking about, well, I don't want to spoil that, but you'll see that later. Because I don't want this show to be a solo show. Solo shows are way too damn hard. So I'm going to have guests. That's going to be the format of this. If you want solo shows, I do have a solo project that I'll talk about at the end of this that will just be me. I know I said it was too damn hard, because it is. But I'm going to give it a shot anyway. If it doesn't work, oh well, no harm, no foul. Anyway, back to why my co-hosts ain't here. Well, the wonderful, lovely, beautiful, blah, 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 expletive, Miss Haven Rain is still working on her extra project and whatnot. Obviously, subscribe to her YouTube channel, Haven_Rain, HAEVYN_REYHNE. And of course, Jonte Heath, obviously out there wrestling, whatever vernacular you want to use. Obviously, follow him in the Spirit of Detroit. That's his stable. And, they're doing their big things and whatnot. They're going to pop in from time to time. But I have to change up how the show works here. But if this episode does pretty good, with the next episode, I'm going to have a reunion episode. I'm playing one anyway, but I wanted to say that for the sake of saying that. I wanted to say why I've been gone so long. Basically, we've all been working on little side projects and things like that. Like at my site going up, pretty much highmarksrecap.com. Pretty much it's like just things on top of the head, little lifestyle stuff, kind of like the show, but in text format. It's really helped me gather my thoughts. And I am also working on a non-fiction little short book, maybe like 20 or 30,000 words, something like that, which sounds long, but that's actually crazy short for a book. I'm working on it. Something interesting for me. But there's that, and my beautiful sister got married, so I had to, show out for that wedding and whatnot, and things like that. Stuff with my girlfriend, kid. She had I won't really get into her stuff, but we had a thing with that took up a good 3-some weeks. People moving, blah blah. But don't worry about all that. That's some boring stuff. I ain't got to deal with. Today's episode is going to be about expectations. I'm not just talking about family expectations, but self-imposed expectations. I thought this up on the drive home because I personally have too many expectations upon myself. Way too many. Like, I expect myself to always handle things like, I've lived by myself for about 5 or 6 years now. Like, on my own, got my own house, whatnot, in my name, all that good stuff. And I've expected myself, like a good adult, to never miss a bill, never a payment, credit card stuff, credit in general. I've budgeted all those things. I've balanced all those things without missing a beat. And it is very strenuous. The reason I did these things, besides, trying to be a functional adult, is that, honestly, I put myself on a pretty high pedestal. Because in life, I've messed up on a lot of major things that I'll talk about in a nonfiction book. Yes, I'm selflessly self-promoting myself, but it is what it is. But anyway, I've messed up on a lot of things, and I'm trying to right that wrong. And that's easier said than done. Like, to me, like, other people don't hold it against me, but I hold it against myself, Like, have you ever, let's say you've ever failed a class, right? And your friends, family, whatnot, say, it's just a class. It's whatever. That happens. But you yourself, you beat yourself up for it about months, weeks, sometimes even years. I've done that. Guilty as charged. I still do that. Like, if my credit score goes down a point or two, I beat myself up. Because I expect a lot out of myself. Because every time I have messed up on anything in life, I always, instead of making a tick against myself, one tick against myself, or I guess a 1 point would be a better way of expressing it. I put 2 or 3 against myself. So basically, good things count as 1, bad things count as 3. Like steps, forward, backwards. That shouldn't be like that, but that's how I view myself. It's wrong, but people do that. It is what it is. But and it stems from my familial expectations. My family is very lovely, very sweet, very caring, understanding people who will help you out anything in life. But for some reason, I've always viewed people who help you all the time as crutches. I don't know if you guys have experienced that. Let me know. But I viewed it as like a crutch. Like if I always rely on my mother, my uncle, my brother, my sister for everything in life, I'll never really grow. And that's how I viewed it. That's totally the wrong way to look at it, because you have to understand that getting help from other people is a necessary function of growth. Accepting help is a necessary function of being an adult. But from like 18 to 28, I'll be honest, 28 to this day, I have not seen it that way. I've saw it as you're messing up and that's why you need help. And it's hard to shake. It's very hard to shake. To this day, I'm still bad at accepting help. And I put myself on that high pedestal where, like, if I ask for help, I'm letting them down. Even if I'm asking for something as $20. Like, I remember I had to ask my brother to borrow $50. And I said, what can I do for you to get this? Because I'd rather do a job and get the money than just, get the money. He was like, look, we're brothers. Just take the money. I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. What do you want me to do job-wise? I do the same thing with my mom, same thing with my uncle, same thing with anybody I ever ask any favors for. I try to give them more than I'm getting. It makes me feel better, because I'll be completely honest with you. In my family, school is a very, very important thing, right? I got people with doctorates, engineers, nurses, HR leaders, I don't know the terminology for that, and all this crazy thing, teachers, blah, 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 all these crazy things. And that's not been my thing. I'm an extremely smart person because I don't believe that educated and intelligent are two different things. You can be one, the other, or both. They're not mutually exclusive things. I'm a very intelligent person, meaning I grasp concepts very easily. The thing I do suck at is school. I'm awful at school. I'm terrible at school. Awful, awful, awful. Always have been. I don't want to say always will be, but I always have been. So, like, I didn't do the school route. And I know you don't have to be successful in life, but for some reason, till this day, even though I know that mentally, not physically, emotionally, I feel like it's a shortcoming. I feel like I failed myself somehow. I feel like since I didn't take that route and get that notch on my belt, I've screwed up somewhere. So I've overcompensated. It's why I moved out when I did, why I got my credit the way it is, why I always constantly read and learn and all those things, because I'm overcompensating. Yes, I enjoy those things, but I'm overcompensated because I want to say, hey, to them and friends and whatnot, hey, I didn't finish school, but I got my stuff together. I'm that type of dude who worked like 5 jobs to make sure that their life is together financially, just so I can say my life is financially together. That's super dumb, and that's not how you should approach life, but that's how I do. Because whatever expectations my family have of me, I have higher expectations, and you shouldn't do that. Because when you do those self-imposed expectations, you will fail yourself more often than not. I'm not saying you shouldn't have any expectations, but I'm saying that if you put yourself in that position, you will always fail yourself. Trust me, I know. Like, I've had almost, breakdowns. I've had at least 2 actual nervous breakdowns because I don't rest. I don't recuperate. My form of recuperating is reading comic books or watching wrestling, because both are dope as hell. But before I really focused on those being my relaxing, I didn't have relaxing. I went to work, I came home, I budgeted, I ate, I went to sleep. Boom. Didn't have time for no girlfriend, no friends, none of that stuff. And I wasn't a drinker. I still kind of ain't. So, like, some people drink recreationally. I ain't do that. I didn't really start drinking. I was like 23. 23, 24. Yeah. Late bloomer. I'm late bloomer at everything. But, yeah, man. And when you get these expectations, they just eat you up. And here's the thing. One way that that if you can't shake that expectation, this is what I do. I like to give myself coping things. Not like unhealthy things like drinking or stuff like that. I find something that I'm really good at. Something that I'm extremely good at, and I focus on that as my coping mechanism. Like doing these podcasts, editing these things, writing, things like that. I love doing those things. Those things are relaxing to me. Those things help me understand the world better. Like, I think since doing this show and doing my writing side and the book thing I'm working on, I have actually legitimately got myself in a better mental state than I was before. I honestly believe that. And I believe that mentally I'm healthier than I've ever been. I've been less stressed. I have been more together. All these things. Because I found a nice balance. Yes, I still work as hard as I always have been. Yes, I still have those high expectations that will never be reached. Never, ever, ever. But it doesn't stress me out like it used to. Because if you don't find something, it will stress you out. It will cause you to go insane. But I do caution that you don't hang your entire identity on those things. I did that too, where I hung my entire identity on the fact that I was a writer, on the fact that I was a podcast, on the fact that I was like a moral, like I was a life coach for other people. Like I help people, with advice and stuff, both digitally and in person. And I hung my personality on just those things. I made my life a monolith. Or how should I put this? I made my life one thing. If you describe me at those points, what would you describe Jason as? Oh, Jason gives good, really, really good advice. Or Jason's a comedian. Or Jason is just kind of weird. Or Jason's really hardworking. Or he's very adult. No, I'm all those things. I'm not one of those single things. Never make your personality one-dimensional. And that's what I did. I wanted to be defined as one thing. I found pride in like people defining who I was or is in a sentence. That's not okay. You should be described in more than a sentence. Your life should not be summed up in a sentence. That's dumb. You should be described in more of those things. You want to have a personality and live a life where when people talk about you, they have to think about it for a minute because they don't know if they really understand all of you. Is this really how he is? Is this really how she is? They are kind of hard to describe. That is the goal. Because here's the thing. When you describe yourself in one singular thing, right? And let's say you start to quote unquote fail at it, right? Your self-reflection will kick up a notch. And self-reflection is good in small doses. But when you self-reflect a little too much, you start to put yourself under a microscope. And you put yourself under a microscope, you only look for the flaws. My aunt used to say that the reason you don't put yourself under a microscope is because the only time people really look under microscopes when they're looking for something bad. When scientists, because she's a doctor, a lot of time when doctors look under microscopes or x-rays, whatnot, they're looking for something bad. It's almost never looking for good stuff. And if they are looking for good stuff, they're looking for good stuff throughout bad stuff. So it's like a mixed bag with that analogy. But she tried. She's better with like her hands than she has words, but I appreciate her effort. I won't say her name because she'll kill me. For example, I'll use a good example. One of my closest friends who's been on the show, Anjali, great person. She used to define herself as a yoga teacher. Like her yoga personality, Buddhist, blah, 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 was her definition of who she was. So when she had to move to an area where they didn't have a focal point on that, they didn't have like a Buddhist temple or any real yoga centers, she couldn't express that. She couldn't do any research into that. She had to get a job that didn't focus on that like she had in her original place. And so she had a loss of identity. And because of that loss of who she defined herself as, she kind of crumbled a little bit because she was like, this is how I define myself. When you define yourself that way, it becomes problematic. You lose your sense of self. You're like, well, I'm not that, then what am I? That's why I always say, describe yourself or define yourself in different things. You're not one thing. You're not your profession. You're not your hobby. You are a combination of a million different things. When you brag about yourself, brag about those million different things. Because when you lose yourself, when you lose that self, how do I put this person? When you get sunk in your self-reflection,